Good evening and welcome to the programme. It might not have brought London to a standstill, but today's bus strike certainly made life difficult for hundreds of thousands of people. Around 2/3 of services didn't run as drivers walked out in their dispute over a £500 bonus for working during the Olympics. Transport bosses condemned the action, but the union says the strike was a success and the capital should prepare for more to come. Mark Ashdown has been gauging the impact on Londoners and is in Peckham for us this evening. Mark.
Yes, Victoria, here in Peckham there's a bus stop behind me which is fairly typical in these parts, more or less deserted. That's because we've hardly seen any buses come past it all afternoon. It's led to anger and frustration because although Londoners are used to the idea of dealing with a strike, let's face it, it's normally the tube. We haven't had a bus strike across London since 1982, but bus drivers feel these are desperate times, the only way to get their voices heard. Of course, the kind of leverage they get out of this really depends on the impact it has on London. And while in the city centre, where there's lots of options for travelling around, the impact's been fairly limited. It's in areas like this, the outskirts of London, where it's been a very difficult day. Long queues and long waits. London struggled into work this morning as the strike crippled services.
Since 6 o'clock I'm waiting and no bus. I don't know what to do to reach at all.
I walk from my place, Decker Park, to this place, and I could not get any bus. If I don't get a bus, I go back home, please.
Those who did brave it found either deserted bus stations or overcrowding on those few services still running.
Unfortunately, I can't get to uni without the bus, so we're having to call a taxi. And I can't really afford to do that as a student.
Waiting about 10 minutes to the bus, but that's okay. I'm fine about it. No, not at all, as long as I get to where I'm going.
But did everyone get there? 400,000 people work in retail alone in the capital. Long delays, though, this morning.
15 minutes, and I'll be late for work in 15 minutes. I have to be there. I didn't know there was a strike today.
Yeah, I'm going to work. I'm one of them workers. We need to strike, yeah?
Areas like Peckham rely heavily on buses. Today's shortage led to frayed tempers.
No one else.
If this drags on, what damage to high streets?
Hundreds of thousands of London shop workers are getting ready to serve what we hope will be really big numbers of shoppers during the Olympics to make sure that we get the maximum economic advantage out of the Games. It'd be really good to see other groups of workers, including people involved in transport, supporting that rather than undermining it. Wrong type of bus, really, but Londoners are adaptive as ever, walking to work, taking taxis, or braving the tube, which was busier than ever in the ticket halls and on the carriages, still hours after the morning rush. These pictures show where the buses are lined up in depots, where many remained this afternoon. There were flashpoints at some stations, like here in Croydon. And in Walworth, a lively reception for the few who crossed the picket. Transport for London have had staff out trying to keep things moving. All day long, they've had their work cut out. And that's set to continue into the evening. This strike is officially running until 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, so night buses, expect them to be badly affected. If you are travelling into the West End this evening, the advice is to check Transport for London's website, which should be on your screens now. I mentioned we haven't had a bus strike across London for 30 years. Now, if a deal isn't done to solve this, the next one could be much sooner than that.
OK, Mark, thank you very much. Well, let's get more detail about what the dispute is all about and, crucially, the chances of it being resolved before the Olympics. Here's our transport correspondent, Tom Edwards.
This is the nearest bus garage to the Olympic Park, called Lee Interchange, and today there was a large picket line. It's these drivers who'll see huge increases in passenger numbers, and they're extremely angry they're not getting a £500 Olympic bonus.
I would strike during the Olympics. I would strike through the whole Olympics if it you know, gets us what we want.
So you're not going to back down?
No, we're not going to back down.
We're the ones that have to deal with the general public, get asked questions, give directions. We're the ones that have face on value. You never see a train driver.
Would you strike during the Olympics then?
Definitely, yes, why not?
Some people say you shouldn't be striking during the Olympics. What do you say to that?
I don't agree. If we have to get our point across, no matter what way you can get our point across, we have to do it. If we're that important, they won't let us strike for the Olympics. They'll give us what we want.
So why are we here? This dispute has been grumbling along for 9 months. The Unite union wants a £500 bonus for every single bus worker. The issue is partly comparative. Many other transport workers are getting Olympic bonuses. So bus workers want to know, why aren't they? On Wednesday, the Mayor put £8.3 million of Olympic money on the table to sweeten the deal, but it wasn't enough.
And we put the blame and the responsibility squarely at the feet of 20 employers. If there's a need to take further action, then that will happen. But first and foremost, we want to make it clear to Londoners that we want to sort this dispute.
So why did the deal fail? The bus companies only started talking to the unions yesterday after being forced to by the Mayor. So why can't they put more of their own money in? Well, they did offer a bonus to workers, but they wouldn't pay the flat rate £500 bonus. They wanted to pay an extra £17 per employee per day.
We don't actually get any additional money for operating during the Olympics. What we are trying to do is to resolve this dispute, and we believe we've made an offer that meets their demands. For those people working on the 29 days during the Olympics and Paralympics that would get the money that would make it up to the £500 bonus.
The Mayor had said that the extra Olympic money would be withdrawn if the strike went ahead. Now he says the deal wasn't put to the drivers and has blamed union leaders for a politically motivated strike. There are only 5 weeks to go until the Olympics, and the stakes are high.
Well, Tom joins me now here in the studio. Tom, that is the big question, isn't it? Is this going to be resolved in time for the Olympics?
We'd like to think this will be sorted out. If the Olympics can't focus minds, then I don't think anything is going to. The big question is that £8.3 million still on the table? I've been trying to speak to City Hall. What they haven't indicated that it's off the table, so I think that does give us some grounds for a little bit of optimism. Obviously, if this isn't sorted out, it will be a massive embarrassment.
OK, Tom, thanks very much indeed.